Hey friends, it's Kylie. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you on a little tour of my crafty space. It's where I love to create, and I'm going to share with you all how I like to store and organise some of my favourite Creative Memories products. I hope you enjoy. So I'll start with my first desk. I actually have 3 desks in my craft room. But this is the desk where I will do all of my creating. It was just a craft desk or office desk from Officeworks from here in Australia. And you'll see that I've got this cover over the top. And the reason why I've put that there, if I fold this back, it's a really shiny surface. I'm not sure if my camera's picking up the reflection there, but I put this cover over the top just so that when I'm filming you're not going to have mirror images reflecting back in what I'm working on. And this is a backdrop. I bought it here in Australia from Drops Backdrops, which is a company in Melbourne, and it's just like a vintage wood grain effect, and it looks quite nice, I think, when it comes up in my videos. But that's the main purpose of why I've put that down. I've got my Creative Memories mat here, but I've also, if you can see, I've also got this larger clear mat behind my Creative Memories mat. And the reason being, even though these mats are super easy to clean, if I'm working with glues or heavy adhesive, I'll tend to just work off my mat onto this clear surface so that I'm not messing up my Creative Memories mat too much. Even though I could clean it, I know that, but you know, I do get a little heavy-handed with glues and other adhesives, so that's why I have that clear mat in behind my Creative Memories mat. Now, up on the wall is my storage, and I'm really happy with this pegboard. This is one that I purchased from IKEA. Now, the little things like these trays and the little pen holder here, they all came with my pegboard at the time when I purchased it. However, the hooks that are hanging on to my custom cutting templates, as well as these little scissor holders and this little drawer here, these were actually, they weren't from IKEA, but I purchased these from a maker on Etsy who creates them with a 3D printer. Now, I'll just show you this little drawer that slides out and the lid lifts up, and inside I've got all of my cutting blades. So it's super functional. But it's just great to have my border maker system. I've got the new envelope and bow maker there, as well as my little corner punch. And then in my little pen holder, I've got my tweezers, I've got my glue and my multi-purpose tool. And then over here, I've just got the housing unit for my border maker system, as well as refills for my adhesive, which you can see by my pile there, I do use a lot. Now, this overhead mount for my camera and iPhone, it is from Archon Mounts. And I love it. It's really functional. It's probably one of the best mounts I've ever used. That's just my personal review. This was actually a freestanding mount. So that base plate you can see screwed to the wall, that would normally just stand on your table, and then this goes overhead. But the problem that I had, I didn't realize at the time when I purchased this, I didn't realize that you could get a table clamp. And so I did have another clamp here that I did try to clamp that to my desk, but I just found, for me, it still had a little bit of wobble to it. So in my videos, you know, if I was cutting or doing something with a bit of aggression, when I get carried away, it would sort of tremble a little bit. So Mr. Sweetpea drilled that into the wall for me, into a stud, and I've got it aligned perfectly over my desk to where that needs to be, so I don't ever have to shift it. But yeah, I love my Archon mount. When it comes to lighting, I'm very lucky, not that it's terribly sunny today, but I'm very lucky that this room has a lot of natural light. And this is, I believe, an 18-inch ring light. I just purchased that from eBay, and this is the light that I will use when I am filming. I don't use artificial light when I take photos, because I find, and I'll get to it in a minute, this window just allows the most perfect amount of natural light. I'm very fortunate that way. But I do use the ring light to film my videos. I did have umbrellas. I've been through pretty well everything, just trying to find the perfect setup. It took me quite a while, and everybody's setup will be different. But for me, I just found the umbrellas, I just couldn't get them to work for me. But the ring light, it has a warm and a cool setting. I tend to set mine to cool, and it's perfect for filming. I'll switch it on for you. Now when that light's on and I am filming, I do tend to find the light sort of streams across my desk, and what I mean by that is, even from here you can see it's quite bright on this side, but then it darkens down just a little bit. So what I found, I mean, I could have bought a second ring light, yes, but an easy fix, I've just got this thick cardboard that I again purchased from Officeworks, and I will just stand that leaning up to the side of my pegboard while I'm filming, and that actually reflects the light on that left side of my desk. So that's just a handy little trick, and I don't believe I have, you know, a fancy setup, but what I use, that's what works for me. And again, it does help that I do have a lot of good natural light coming in this room. I don't have any of my overhead downlights switched on. This is just all natural light and my ring light with my reflection board. So white will reflect light, and that is probably the handiest tip I can give you when you're filming. And I think that board only cost me a couple of dollars. Then on my wall, just some decorative elements that I've added, these huge paper bouquets, which I just love. These were custom made for me from a company called Purely Paper Flowers, who are based in Sydney. They were super easy to attach to my wall, and the tape that you use doesn't mark your paintwork at all. And it's quite strong because I have central heating, and that heat tends to blow down on those flowers, and they haven't lifted off the walls, so they're attached quite securely. Then I've just got a few of my favourite wall hangings over here. This is my happy place, and I've got my little deer canvas. I actually made this canvas when I worked for an Aussie scrap label many years ago. I was part of the creative team, and all of those flowers are made from crafters foam, and I cut them all and I used my iron to curl them. I got a few burns from that project, but I love him, and I know it was the last project I ever made for them, so that's why he takes pride of place on my wall. Okay, so that brings us to my second desk, which is along the window, and it's exactly the same as that first desk. You can really see the high gloss there at the moment and the reflection that you get in my camera. I use this desk purely for taking photos, and to do that, to eliminate the glare, again I bring in my thick white cardboard there that will sit on the desk, and the light that comes through that window is perfect for taking photos. I'll still edit them a little bit, they need a little bit of refining, but because white reflects light, I just find that that's the perfect spot for taking my photos. It's also my desk that I throw everything on while I'm creating. It's rarely that tidy. And in the corner here, I've just got a little scrap bin that I use, and this is like a little lazy Susan. Is that what you call them? A lazy Susan, and it's just got just lots of paint brushes and pens and just different odds and ends that I may use when I'm creating, as well as just a little desk lamp as well. Which brings me now to my third and final desk, and it's purely for my computer and my Canon printer. I do like a large screen, just purely for editing and things like that. And I have just a Canon printer. I don't print a lot of my photos at home myself. And again, just a few little happy pieces on the wall. I am a little bit of a Harry Potter nerd, so these little cuties are just on my little heart shelf there. Now next to my main desk is my huge storage cupboard. This isn't everything that I have. Most of my supplies are behind me in a double cupboard, but these ones I have out on display for easy access, a lot of the newer collections from Creative Memories. I'll start with up the top there, and I've got some of the clear photo storage cases. I actually use them for different items I store. You can see there I've just added my label maker. I've got my journal pens, my microtip pens, foam squares, tape chips. So they're all stored in those. And then just got some little baskets here. This first one, I'm just storing all of my smaller size peekaboo pockets. They're all stacked in those. And then my second basket, I've just got some packets of all of the must-have laser cut embellishments. I've still got plenty of room in that basket, but I will be adding more of those in there. Now the next shelf, I have some of my Border Maker cartridges. This isn't all of them. I tend to rotate them as new ones come out, and ones that I haven't used for a little while, I always keep the box and it goes back in its box, and I store it in my huge cupboard behind me. But I've actually got them. These are a Totally Tiffany wooden storage unit. I got these from scrapbook.com. They're actually designed, I believe, to house mixed media or stamps, and I've laid them down on their backs, and it was perfect for adding my Border Maker cartridges. I'm kind of sad because I only got 2 and they're not available now, but they're perfect for displaying each of my current Border Maker cartridges that I'm using. Then on my next shelf, I have some of my paper collections as well as some spare albums there. Now with each new collection that Creative Memories release, I put them into its own Power Project folder, and I just store them all alphabetically here in my shelf. I've used my label maker again just to create some little labels for them so I know which is which. And the reason why I love the Power Project folders, I've just got my Golden Harvest collection here to be able to show you. They're a really sturdy, good, strong quality plastic, and you can add all of your papers and things there in the top. You've got an opening here which would be great for offcuts, and you've got a pocket here. I've got my embellishments in one of the pockets, and I've got my pocket cards here in the second. And then when you flip it over, you've got 2 elongated pockets where I've got my stickers in both, but if there's laser cut borders, they will fit in those 2 long pockets as well. And then I just use my label maker to add the collection into this little tab. But I absolutely love these. So every collection that I purchase will go into its own Power Project folder and be stored here on my shelf or behind me in my cupboard. You'll see on my next shelf here, I've got a lot of these 12 by 12 plastic storage units. These are an Advantis brand paper storage unit, which I purchased here in Australia from Craft Online. They house 12 by 12 You can fit quite a lot in them. This first one here, I store all of my alpha stickers, as well as just some spare album pages. And then basically when I've used a collection to the point I've only got bits and pieces left, I transfer them to one of the plastic bags that it came in, and all in together they'll get stored in these plastic tubs. So if I'm looking for, you know, a project where I'm using up all of my leftover pieces, then I'll look to these little tubs on this shelf. I also store all of my cardstock next to them, and they're all in these fantastic little 12 by 12 envelopes, which I'll show you. These envelopes are from Universal Crafts. So I bought mine from Craft Online, but that is the brand of them, Universal Crafts. They fit the cardstock perfectly when they're out of their packaging. So when you first buy your cardstock and it comes sealed in the plastic and with the cardboard, I find that it's just a fraction too wide. You could get it into the envelope, but you might damage the envelope. But when you take it out of that packaging, without the stiff cardboard in it, it will fit perfectly in these envelopes. So what I like to do is, again, I just use my label marker to label the colour, and it'll get stored here in my cupboard. And you'll see that I've got some new packs of cardstock. So when these envelopes are empty, then I know I can open one of the new ones to store into those plastic envelopes. Then down on the next shelf, I've got some of my Creative Memories photo storage boxes. I like to print my photos off in bulk. Let's lift one down so I can show you. If you haven't seen these before, they're fantastic. But basically you've got all of these little individual lift out compartments, so you can lift that out onto your desk while you're scrapbooking. And you've got these great little dividers that you can add a label to, as I have done. And basically it's just for storing all of your photos safely until you are ready to scrapbook them. So I've just got all of mine labelled and in their individual compartments, and they're stored safely in these sturdy boxes. Now this is the label maker that I like to use. It's a Dymo letter tag maker. I just picked mine up from Officeworks again, and it's battery operated, but it's pretty nifty for adding all of your labels to everything. Then next to my photos, I've got a couple of spare 8x8 albums and album inserts. I've got my Happy Planner with some inserts. I keep my Creative Memories sketchbook on hand. And then in these binders, once a month when Creative Memories have their virtual crop, I like to go through and print out the sketches and place them all in a binder. So if ever I'm looking for inspiration, I've got them in a binder. And on the bottom shelf is where I like to keep my beloved silhouette, which I love. And I've got the cover on it to keep the dust out as well. And here I've got another little cubicle that I keep for storage. It houses all of my mini albums and planners that I've accumulated and worked in over the years. And on top of my shelf, I like to keep some of my punches. This, of course, isn't all of them, just ones that I'm find myself working with more of at the moment, and I'll rotate them as I start working with others. I have labelled the top of some of those boxes just for easy reference. And one other little unit that I forgot to share with you all, this is next to my huge storage cupboards. There's lots of shelves in there, and that's really where I keep the bulk of all of my tools and other items. I'd open the doors, but yeah, I didn't clean that up, so maybe not. But just to the side of my computer desk here, you'll see this tower. A local scrapbooking store here in my town was closing its doors sadly, so I purchased this paper tower, and Mr. Sweetpea built the timber surrounds for it just to help make that a little bit more sturdy. But I keep a lot of just things like sticker paper, vellum, acetate, non-Creative Memories branded products, spare paper that I have there is all kept in that tower just so it's nice and neat and all organized. And then to the top I have those 3 little pink suitcases, and I keep all of my washi tape in those for easy storage. But that's pretty well my space. I hope you've enjoyed coming in and seeing where I create and how I store all of my favorite products. But thanks for being here today, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.